What if the gods you thought were chaotic were actually wise beyond imagination? What if the very beings we often label as mischievous or deceptive were in fact the sacred forces keeping the world in balance? This is the hidden truth behind the Trickster Gods of Africa, enigmatic figures who dance between worlds, test our perceptions, and force us to confront uncomfortable truths with laughter, riddles, and contradiction. They are not merely the cosmic pranksters of popular lore. They are gatekeepers of truth, weavers of destiny, and subtle teachers of divine wisdom. In African spiritual systems, the trickster is not an enemy of order, but its twin, a necessary force that holds a mirror up to the cosmos. These deities don't wreak havoc for pleasure. They do so to spark awareness, to shift perspective, to reveal the unseen through the unexpected. Their wisdom lies in their ability to embody dualities without resolving them. Tricksters carry both light and shadow, chaos and clarity, cunning and compassion. Their role is not to deceive, but to awaken. In their riddles, we find revelation. In their games, we encounter profound truths about ourselves, about power, and about the universe itself. This is the face of the African trickster, sacred, strategic, and misunderstood. From the Yoruba lands of West Africa emerges Isu, the divine messenger who governs language, communication, and every decision made at the crossroads. From the Akan people, Anansi the spider spins tales so intricate they weave entire worlds, stories that outlast kings and gods. And in the Vodun traditions of the Fon, Papa Legba stands at the gateway of the spirit world, the only one who can unlock the conversation between mortals and deities. Together, these figures form a constellation of divine paradoxes, each showing us that truth is rarely a straight line, and that wisdom often wears the mask of folly. This journey will unravel the deeper essence of Isu, Anansi, and Legba, not as chaotic disruptors, but as sacred balancers. They are the cosmic intermediaries, the spiritual negotiators, and the holy contrarians. And if you're willing to look beyond their masks, you might just find that they speak not just to the gods, but directly to the wild, wondrous, and paradoxical core of your own soul. In the Yoruba tradition, Esu Elegbara stands as one of the most profound and paradoxical figures. He is not simply a messenger, he is the gatekeeper of communication, the mediator between the visible and the invisible. No word reaches the divine without Esu's blessing. He rules the crossroads where decisions are forged and destinies unravel. Every prayer, every ritual, every spiritual transaction passes through his unseen hands. Esu governs A's, the sacred force of intention and creation. This is not just spiritual power, it is the very energy that binds the cosmos together. When a priest invokes the Orishas, it is Esu who delivers the message. When a person prays at a shrine, it is Esu who interprets the sincerity behind the words. He does not merely carry language, he is the very spirit of language, the divine breath that gives words their soul. But Esu is not passive. He is not just a conduit, he is a test. He walks among humans and offers them choices, each veiled in ambiguity. In one legendary story, Esu wears a hat that is red on one side and black on the other. He walks between two farmers, sparking a heated argument when each swears they saw a different color. The lesson is not in the disagreement, it is in the realization that both were right and both were wrong. Truth, Esu teaches, is often split down the middle. Another tale tells of Esu switching gifts offered by two worshippers to test their intentions. The one who gave out of pride was humbled. The one who gave from the heart was elevated. Esu's tricks are never cruel for the sake of cruelty. They are designed to awaken consciousness, to expose hypocrisy, to sharpen the moral compass. He is the divine examiner, placing us in dilemmas where our choices reveal who we truly are. This is why Isu is feared by some and revered by others. His power lies in uncertainty. He is not bound by binary thinking. He is both order and chaos, both servant and sovereign. He speaks in riddles, acts in shadows, and yet illuminates the core of every human decision. He reminds us that the divine is not always comfortable or clear. The symbolism of Isu stretches far beyond folklore. He represents the space between worlds, between good and evil, between speech and silence, between action and intention. Isu is the hinge on which the door of existence swings. He doesn't just live at the crossroads. He is the crossroads. Every time a person makes a choice, however small, they invoke Isu's realm. In Yoruba metaphysics, the crossroads are sacred not because they offer clarity, but because they demand discernment. Isu challenges us to pause, to reflect, to question our assumptions. He does not offer answers. He demands better questions, and in doing so, he leads us to deeper wisdom. His ambiguity is not a flaw, it is a feature crafted to mirror the complexity of life itself. But Isu has not always been understood. During colonial times, missionaries, unfamiliar with the layers of Yoruba spirituality, labeled Isu as evil. In a violent mistranslation, he was equated with the Christian devil. This demonization distorted his image and tried to erase his sacred role. The damage was profound, lingering in the cultural memory for generations. Yet the resilience of Yoruba belief systems is formidable. Today, scholars, priests, and practitioners are reclaiming Isu's true nature. He is being re-understood not as a devil, but as a divine paradox. In literature, music, and ritual, his complexity is celebrated once more. Isu speaks to the heart of African cosmology, a worldview that embraces duality, contradiction, and layered meanings. To truly understand Isu is to wrestle with the concept of free will. He does not force our choices, he frames them. He opens the doors, but never pushes us through. Isu's power lies in his ability to present paths, to expose motives, and to demand responsibility. He does not condemn, he simply reflects. If the outcome is bitter, it is often because the truth was bitter to begin with. Isu embodies divine ambiguity. He shows us that wisdom is rarely straightforward. In a world obsessed with black and white thinking, Isu reminds us that the divine speaks in grays. He challenges linear logic with spiral thought. He bends the rules not to break them, but to reveal their hidden patterns. Every trick, every twist, every contradiction is part of a sacred dance. This is why Isu is so essential. Without him, communication breaks down. Ritual becomes hollow. Choices lose their depth. He is not just a character in a myth. He is a force in our daily lives. Every decision we make, every time we speak or stay silent, every prayer we utter, we stand at the crossroads. And Isu is there, watching, smiling, waiting to see what path we choose. He is the whisper in the wind that questions your motive, the unexpected delay that makes you reconsider, the stranger's words that echo a hidden truth. Isu does not yell, he nudges. He turns the mirror ever so slightly, and if you are willing to look, truly look, you will see not just the reflection of yourself, but the divine mystery staring back. In the modern world, where certainty is often valued over insight, Isu's presence is more necessary than ever. He disrupts not to destroy, but to rebuild. He provokes not to offend, but to awaken. He reminds us that the sacred is not always solemn, that divinity can come wrapped in humor, in contradiction, and in impossible choices. To walk with Isu is to walk the razor's edge. It is to honor complexity. It is to seek truth, not in certainty, but in the dance between opposites. In the Yoruba tradition, to neglect Esu is to close the gate to all other spiritual insight. But to honor him is to begin the journey toward true understanding. So the next time you find yourself hesitating at a life decision, hearing two voices in your mind, or standing in the middle of contradiction, pause. You may not be confused. You may simply be in the presence of Esu, the master of crossroads, the guardian of language, the divine question waiting to be answered. Anansi, the spider, is perhaps the most beloved and iconic trickster in all of African folklore. Originating from the Akan people of what is now Ghana, Anansi is not just a clever character. He is a cultural hero, a mythic teacher, and the embodiment of wit triumphing over might. He walks the delicate line between foolishness and brilliance, often stumbling into wisdom while pretending to chase pleasure. But beneath the laughter he inspires lies a deeper power, the ability to reshape worlds through stories. Anansi's gift is not brute strength or divine wrath. It is cunning. It is language. In countless tales, he faces creatures far stronger than himself, tigers, kings, even gods, and emerges victorious through clever schemes and rhetorical trickery. In one famous myth, Anansi desires to possess all the stories in the world, which are then owned by the sky god Nyame. To earn them, Anansi must capture a series of dangerous animals, tasks thought impossible for a creature so small. Yet through careful planning, deception, and charm, he succeeds. Nyame rewards him by naming him the keeper of all stories. These tales are not just entertaining, they are teaching tools. In Anansi's mischief, there is method. He disrupts established hierarchies. He exposes the arrogance of the powerful. He rewrites fate using nothing more than words and wit. Through him, children and elders alike learn that intelligence can conquer injustice, and that laughter can be a blade sharper than any sword. Anansi is not evil. He is evolution. He challenges the status quo not for chaos, but for change. His stories also often tread the edge of mortality. In some versions, Anansi cheats death itself. In others, he plays tricks that nearly lead to his own undoing. But even in defeat, he never loses his spirit. This resilience is what makes him more than a cultural figure. He becomes a symbol of survival. For the Akan and many West African communities, Anansi represents the mind's refusal to be dominated, the tongue's power to reshape destiny. It is this spirit that made Anansi a stowaway on the slave ships that carried African peoples across the Atlantic. Torn from their homelands, many still carried him in their hearts and minds. In the Caribbean and across the Americas, Anansi's tales evolved and flourished. Among the enslaved, his stories became coded messages of resistance, hope, and survival. He transformed from a trickster god into a cultural lifeline. In Jamaica, he became Anansi, still spinning stories, still outwitting oppressors. Anansi's humor was not escape, it was strategy. Laughter became a way to cope with horror, to affirm humanity in a system designed to erase it. Through riddles and stories, people could pass on hidden truths, subvert their masters, and preserve a part of themselves. Anansi reminded them that survival was a form of resistance, and that storytelling was a sacred act of defiance. In every joke he cracked, there was a history being kept alive. And yet, Anansi is more than a historical artifact. He is a spiritual archetype, a sacred symbol of the interconnectedness of life and knowledge. As a spider, he weaves webs, but these are not ordinary traps. They are the cosmic threads of reality itself. His web is the world. Each line represents a path, a choice, a narrative. To tell a story is to spin a thread, and Anansi spins endlessly, creating a tapestry of understanding through fable and parable. In this way, Anansi is not only the keeper of stories, he is the embodiment of storytelling itself. Every time a tale is told, Anansi lives again. His legacy thrives in the rhythm of the griot, in the cadence of Caribbean folklore, in the lessons passed down at kitchen tables and firesides. He is the patron of the oral tradition, the guardian of cultural memory, and the eternal reminder that truth often wears the mask of fiction. Today, Anansi remains a symbol of creative intelligence. He teaches us that survival is not just about enduring. It is about adapting, resisting, and outwitting the forces that seek to confine us. He speaks to every underdog who dreams of triumph, to every child who dares to question, to every voice that refuses to be silenced. His humor cuts through hypocrisy. His cunning dismantles tyranny. His stories hold the soul of a people who refuse to forget who they were. To walk with Anansi is to understand the sacred power of the word. Words can free or bind, uplift or destroy. But in Anansi's world, the storyteller is the ultimate shaper of fate. Through metaphor, trickery, and a spider's subtle wisdom, he reveals that the most powerful magic is the one we speak into being. His web, after all, is not made of silk, but of stories, and stories, as Anansi shows us, can never be caged. In the spiritual cosmology of the Fon people of Benin and the wider Vodun tradition, there is no figure more essential, more universally invoked than Legba. Known as the opener of the gates, Papa Legba is the spirit who stands at the threshold of all ritual, the elder at the crossroads between the visible and the invisible. Without his blessing, no prayer is heard. Without his permission, no spirit can be reached. He is the divine translator, the mediator of tongues, and the voice that bridges the human and the divine. When a practitioner begins a Vodun ceremony, the first words spoken are to Legba. His presence must be acknowledged before any other loa, or spirits, can be summoned. This is not just tradition, it is spiritual law. Legba is not a messenger in the way a courier delivers mail. He is the very act of communication itself. He interprets the language of mortals into speech the spirits can understand, and vice versa. In many depictions, he carries keys or a staff, symbols of access, permission, and power. Legba is often shown as an old man, bent and wrinkled, leaning on a cane as he watches over the crossroads. But do not be fooled by his age. In some regions, Legba appears as a child, laughing and full of mischief. This duality is not a contradiction, it is a revelation. Legba encompasses the entire spectrum of life, from innocence to wisdom, from playfulness to sacred responsibility. He teaches us that the sacred is not separate from the everyday. In Legba's world, opposites are not enemies, they are dance partners. The crossroads, in Vodun, are not simply physical locations. They are symbolic zones of transition, reflection, and possibility. To stand at the crossroads is to face a moment of change. And at every such moment, Legba is present, not to decide for us, but to open the gate to choice. His presence ensures that humans are not locked in their limitations. He allows movement, transformation, and spiritual growth. His gift is not direction, it is access. Legba's influence extends far beyond Benin. In Haitian Vodou, he appears again, often as the first loa called in ceremony. His name changes slightly, but his essence remains the same. He is the elder who opens the way, the one who must be honored before any real spiritual work can begin. In this Haitian context, Legba often smokes a pipe, drinks rum, and dances slowly at the edge of the sacred circle. His demeanor is calm, knowing, and deeply rooted in ancestral wisdom. Yet, Legba is not always solemn. Like Esu, to whom he is deeply connected, he carries within him the spirit of paradox. He is both serious and playful, both guard and trickster. This makes him a profound spiritual force because he refuses to be one-dimensional. In Legba, we see the harmony of contradiction. He is the one who laughs and prays in the same breath, the one who challenges and comforts, the one who stands still while moving between worlds. The similarities between Isu and Legba are striking, and many scholars argue they are cultural twins, variations of the same archetype shaped by different traditions. Both are gatekeepers, both are tricksters, both operate at the crossroads. But while Isu is deeply rooted in Yoruba cosmology, Legba belongs to the Fon and their spiritual descendants. Isu speaks through riddles, Legba through song. Isu tests through choice, Legba opens through grace. Together they form a continuum of sacred access, linguistic mastery, and divine paradox. In Vodun, language is not just a tool, it is a spirit. Words are not symbols, they are forces. And Legba is the master of this sacred language. He knows how to bend it, mold it, and carry it. He ensures that every word offered to the divine carries the full weight of the speaker's soul. When Legba speaks, it is not only his voice you hear, it is the collective cry of generations, the echo of ancestors, the vibration of truth itself. To invoke Legba is to ask for understanding. It is to invite clarity where there is confusion. It is to honor the unseen processes that make communication, prayer, and ritual possible. Without him, the door to the spirit world remains shut. With him, all things are possible. He teaches us that the sacred begins with a word, and that word must be spoken with intention, humility, and heart. Legba's relevance in the modern world cannot be overstated. As more people seek spiritual connection, cultural identity, and ancestral wisdom, Legba stands as a patient, powerful guide. He reminds us that every interaction is sacred, that every choice is a spiritual act. That language, when used wisely, becomes a key, not just to understanding others, but to understanding ourselves. To walk with Legba is to walk a path of awareness. It is to notice the small signs, the moment of hesitation before speaking, the quiet pull before a major decision. These are not accidents, they are thresholds. And Legba is always near, waiting for us to speak his name, to ask for his insight, to honor the gate before we pass through. In this way, Legba does more than open spiritual doors. He opens us. He opens our minds to paradox, our hearts to complexity, and our spirits to the unseen. He is not just the opener of gates. He is the sacred threshold itself, forever inviting us to step into deeper truth. The trickster, across African cosmologies, is not an agent of chaos for chaos's sake. Rather, the trickster is a divine architect of balance, an entity whose very purpose is to unsettle that which has become stagnant. Through challenge, contradiction, and unexpected turns, the trickster restores equilibrium where rigid order has suppressed growth. Their role is cosmic, not to destroy structure, but to question it, reshape it, and sometimes, when necessary, tear it down to make space for renewal. To understand the sacredness of the trickster is to recognize that they exist in the spaces most fear to tread. They live in the in-between, in the murky terrain between certainty and confusion. This is their domain, liminality. It is in this twilight that they operate, bending language, twisting expectation, and introducing possibility. They do not belong wholly to light or darkness. Instead, they move between them, revealing how each contains the other. Through them, we are forced to confront complexity, not as a problem, but as a pathway. Destruction in the trickster's hands becomes an act of creation. When they disrupt the established order, it is not to plunge the world into meaningless chaos. It is to prepare the ground for something truer, freer, and more vital. This is the sacred fire of transformation. Tricksters burn away illusion, pride, and comfort so that something more honest can rise from the ashes. Their upheaval is not aimless, it is surgical. They break what is false to reveal what is real. The trickster teaches us that moral binaries are illusions. Good and evil, order and disorder are often less about truth and more about control. What one society deems evil, another may see as liberation. The trickster dances through these false absolutes, refusing to be pinned down. In their stories, the hero is sometimes a liar, the villain a sage, the fool a prophet. These reversals are not mistakes, they are lessons. They challenge us to see beyond surface appearances and easy answers. In this way, the trickster is a spiritual force of fluidity. They are water in a world obsessed with stone. They move, shift, adapt, and in doing so, they expose what is rigid and brittle. Their presence demands that we loosen our grip on certainty and become comfortable with mystery. They are not evil. They are mirrors reflecting our hidden contradictions and inviting us to laugh, cry, and change. The trickster is the universe's way of reminding us to think deeper. Their riddles carry revelation. Their laughter masks lessons. Their mischief reveals the sacred. In a cosmos that is always unfolding, the trickster ensures we do not become too certain, too proud, or too still. They push us to keep moving, to keep questioning, to keep growing. Through divine paradox, they guide us not away from truth, but toward it. As we arrive at the end of this journey, we must ask, what do Isu, Anansi, and Legba awaken in us today? Beyond the myths and symbols, these trickster deities hold up a mirror to our own lives. They show us our crossroads, our tangled choices, our quiet prayers, and our loud contradictions. In their sacred games and riddles, we begin to recognize our own divine complexity. They remind us that wisdom often wears a crooked smile, and that truth sometimes arrives wearing the mask of confusion. Isu challenges you to examine your intentions. Anansi asks you to wield your voice like a weapon and a shield. Legba invites you to speak with your ancestors and listen with your soul. These are not distant figures from a forgotten past. They are present energies, ancient yet alive, waiting in every moment you stand between fear and courage, silence and speech, ignorance and understanding. Their power does not end at the edge of ritual. It continues wherever choices are made. So embrace contradiction. Life is not a straight line, and neither is truth. Laugh at the illusion that says you must always have answers. Speak with courage, even when your voice trembles. Take the winding road when the straight one feels too certain. The trickster gods don't come to destroy, they come to reveal, to peel back the layers of pretense, to expose what matters, to remind us that the sacred isn't always serious, and that sometimes the holiest thing you can do is smile through your uncertainty. May the wisdom of Isu guide your decisions. May the cunning of Anansi sharpen your words. May the grace of Legba open every gate before you. May you walk in laughter and light, never fearing contradiction, never bound by convention. May your spirit dance freely between the seen and unseen. In the names of those who teach through paradox, through puzzles, through play, we honor your journey. If these stories stirred something in your soul, if you found light in the laughter or power in the paradox, don't just scroll away. Tap the spirit within you, press the button that speaks back. Subscribe not just to this channel, but to the deeper journey. Like this video if you smiled or paused, and comment with your own crossroads moment where the trickster may have whispered in your ear. Thank you for walking this path with us. Your time, your presence, your spirit, it all matters. Until next time, may your words be magic and your steps be blessed.